guys, I am Kori with Kori and Jared Photography, also with Stories with Kori, and today I am hanging out with a very special couple. This is Kristy and Steve Dillman, and they have a heart just for families and marriages. And so this week was kind of a special week as we kind of met for the first time. They shared their heart with our church family. And as they were sharing, I felt like what they were sharing was just so impactful and so important to talk about. And they just have a really unique journey as they share their passion. And so I wanted to share that with you, and hopefully you find some encouragement for your marriage and family and, well, your family life. So, all right, Kristy and Steve, tell me a little bit about what family life is and how you guys kind of came into being a part of it.
So Family Life is the marriage and family ministry of Campus Crusade for Christ, which is known as Cru now.
Yeah.
Campus Crusade is a missions organization that's been around for a year, started by Dylan Von Bright.
Okay.
And what they did was they found that their young missionary couples were having a really hard time in their marriages as they were reaching out to people.
Yeah.
And so that's how the Family Life ministry was born.
Okay.
And these missionaries started saying, hey, our friends could use this too. And so that's how Family Life began.
Okay, that's awesome. Now, how did you guys get connected to Family Life? So what does Family Life do? Maybe what does Family Life do nationwide?
So Family Life puts on marriage conferences across the country.
Yeah.
About 100 per year. They actually do them in other countries around the world.
Okay.
And those marriage conferences are designed to reach couples and give them tools for their marriage to succeed.
Yeah.
And Family Life's principles start with the Bible, biblically based marriages.
Yeah.
And they give practical tools to couples so that they can have great marriages.
Yes.
So that's how we know about Family Life.
That's how we got introduced. We went to our first marriage conference in November of 2017.
Yeah.
Okay. And remind me what those marriage conferences are called.
Weekend to Remember.
Weekend to Remember.
Yes.
Okay. I know that I've heard that, that name and that term, and so I've heard a lot of people have had incredible experiences at them, and so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like it. So now you guys went to one, and tell me about your experience.
Well, in November of 17, Kristy and I went to a Weekend to Remember, and we didn't know much about Family Life. We didn't know anybody who had ever gone.
Yeah.
And we were at the conference, and we really were enjoying the weekend. And as the conference was going on, I began to get pretty emotional.
Yeah.
And I felt like, God was beginning to work on my heart, that maybe there was some room for Kristy and I to be able to make a difference in the lives of marriages and families. We knew a lot of couples back home in our hometown of Ripon.
Yep.
That were struggling.
Yeah.
Some of their marriages didn't make it.
Yeah.
And some of those couples were our close friends. Mm-hmm. And our hearts were broken. And we were involved in their lives and with their kids. And so I think as we went to this conference, God kind of set up that conference for us to not only be a blessing to us and help improve our marriage, but to really give us a heart to see how God could possibly use us to make a difference in the lives of marriages that either needed a little boost, or were actually in a place that was not good.
Okay.
So
we have a heart for marriages. I feel like we are a part of the exciting, just last night I delivered, 2 weddings to these couples, and we relived every moment, moment by moment, the look and the expressions and the excitement on that wedding day. And so just share with me a little bit, we talked a little bit about that engagement season and that celebration, and then what? And so maybe share a little bit about the heart behind that.
Yeah, we talked about how, everybody's excited when a couple gets engaged. And as you're planning the wedding, there's such anticipation looking forward to that wedding day. And then it seems like society, after that wedding day has passed, they start to look at marriage as a drag.
Yeah.
And, the wife is the ball and chain, and he's just driving you crazy. And it's where, it's like the excitement of marriage was over on that wedding day, and now it's just something that's monotonous and, mundane, and something that you just do.
Yeah.
Well, we feel like marriage, really, that's the marriage, the wedding day is just the beginning.
Yes.
That's just the beginning of what a marriage at the beginning point, it can only get better from there.
Yes.
And Kristy's right. Society looks down on marriage, and it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
Marriage can be a wonderful thing.
It is a lot of work.
It is.
It is a lot of work.
Yeah.
It is unending work.
Yes.
I feel like even our experience, we've been married 15 years this year, and maybe 14. Oh, I need to check on that. Can we call brain trauma on that one? Sorry, Jared. But I feel like even this year, as we've come into a lot of years of marriage, like we've experienced new things, like even with like Jared's commitment and service to me during like that season. And so I think that's kind of what I think is so unique about or neat about a marriage retreat. Like even if you were in a good place or a hard place or whatever place, like we all need work, and each season is so different. I think what comes out of our kids, like whether you have easy kids or hard kids, it's still a lot of work. And so figuring out how to find time for each other and how to make that important just doesn't happen. Like you really have to be intentional about it.
Yes.
What drove us to the marriage conference to begin with was a big fight that we had just driving down this road right here.
It was down this road.
It was on this road.
It's meant to be.
Yeah,
I love how all of those things work together. You're welcome. I don't know. I love it. So you guys went to this marriage conference, and then there kind of was a little bit of a stir for you guys.
Yeah, we felt that we said we need to get as many people, as many of our friends and family to go to this conference as we can, because it was such great information, and we just felt like it was a good motivation for us, and we wanted to share that with everyone we knew. Yeah. So we felt that the Lord was telling us to get 50 couples to go and to sponsor 50 couples to go in 2018.
Okay.
We agreed. We kind of came to a consensus on that number on the way home from that marriage conference in Monterey in November of 17. We were just so moved by not only how well the conference was done, not only how much it impacted us, but all we could think about was couples that we knew back home, and even around the country that were struggling. Right. And we were like, sometimes this is all it takes is just a few little boosts in the right direction with the help of the Lord, and people can get back on track.
Absolutely.
So we were excited.
That is neat.
Yeah.
And then you guys have continued your commitment to family life. And so tell me about what the next step looks like for you and your family, because you guys doubled down and went all in your support. So tell us a little bit about your journey.
What happened was we were invited to go to Family Life in June of 18, so about a year ago.
In Family Life headquarters.
In Little Rock, Arkansas. Okay. Yeah. So we were invited out. We were sponsoring couples to go. We were really excited. We had a lot of energy to get couples to go, and we were hearing great reports as couples came back of what God was doing in their lives and in their marriages. And it was that weekend that was kind of a get to know staff at Family Life, get to know more about the history of Family Life, that God really grabbed our hearts. Yeah. Not just from the standpoint of being excited to work with couples in a lay capacity or as we worked our careers, but maybe to consider actually doing it as a vocation, working full-time in ministry with couples across the country. Okay. Yeah. So.
And it didn't happen at the same time for us. He was way ready to go on staff before I was. So that was one of those other,
Why did you tell all my secrets?
When Jared and I heard your story, we loved when I just feel like it just spoke to the authenticity of your story, and just like I feel like that's life, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like the Lord confirms things together, but it's not always at the same time. And so, I think that's even a process in marriages too, is figuring out how we support each other and how we sacrifice for each other and how we encourage each other and learn through all of that. But obviously you're on board.
Yes, obviously I'm on board.
You obviously came around.
Yes, God's been good to me. He's helped me to get there. Yes. So, and I am excited now. Yes. But it wasn't always that way.
And I can be a little excitable. I mean, sometimes I get out over my skis. So.
As a fellow dreamer, Jared is probably totally identified.
Bring me back down here. Are we really going to leave our jobs, our families, retirement, careers, businesses, everything that we've ever known, and be missionaries? Yeah. Because that's what we learned, that if you work at Family Life, you're a missionary. Yes. So it was a complete life change. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah.
But yet, marriages are important. Yes. And families are important. And you have really invested your lives into helping other people be successful in that. Because it matters. It really does.
Yes.
for generations. Like the impact that a marriage, a successful marriage, a committed marriage, or a broken marriage, like they're literally the generations feel the effects of those.
Yeah, for sure. And I would say that I think Kristy and I would both agree that when we hear a story of a couple that has been struggling, and through the process of working together, seeking the Lord, they see reconciliation.
Yeah.
They see hope.
Right.
And we see that excitement and hear that excitement in their voice and see that recommitment to one another. I don't think there's any greater feeling in the world. And Kristy and I we want to participate in that on a regular basis as much as the Lord would allow.
Yeah.
So
that's neat.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about how the Lord has confirmed your steps and just provided for your family. Like, I feel like the Lord has a heart not just for marriages, but also for the two of you and your family specifically. And so how has the Lord loved on you guys as you guys have made huge commitments to move forward?
God is, as Kristy mentioned, we are missionary staff, so we do have to raise our own financial support through our friends and our family and our church, our home church. But God has gone above and beyond and connected us with other churches, other folks that we haven't known very well. In fact, just this week, we had a customer of ours in our contracting business that we've had for 20 years reach out to the new owner of the company that we had sold the company to and say, I want to talk to Steve. I want to see him before he leaves. Well, I met this lady 10 years ago one time, and we serviced her, and she was happy. But when she found out what we were doing, Kristy and I went to her house just yesterday.
Yeah.
And long story short, she handed us an envelope with $3,000 in cash. And she said, I believe in what you're doing, and I want to pay your fuel to get your moving vans out to Little Rock.
I love that.
And that's just one unbelievable story. God's done one unbelievable story after another in our lives as we walk this road and as we've just made the commitment to try to do our best to follow God's call in our lives. And we could tell you a dozen more. It's just unbelievable.
For me, he's given me just little things too to confirm, because I was not on board and it was a really difficult time for me.
Yeah.
And my oldest loves volleyball.
Yeah.
So when we were in Little Rock in July of last year, I decided we were the night before, Ashley and I were praying together, and she did not want to move or think about moving. And I said, okay, baby, we have to just pray. God, if this isn't meant to be, that you would close the door. But if it is meant to be, that you would change our hearts. So that was our prayer. Close the door or change our hearts. And then I asked God for specific signs to show me that this is what he had for us, because moving across the country is not a big, it's a big
hard.
deal.
Yeah.
It's hard. And
especially at the ages that your kiddos are.
Yeah, they're 15, 13, and 11. Yeah. So it was going to be hard. So she loves volleyball. So I knew that there were some sand courts down by the Arkansas River. And we took her down there, and she was out playing with the other kids. And all of a sudden, these cars start rolling up, and these girls start getting out of the cars. And it was a 14 and under volleyball team. She was 14 at the time. And she had researched this same team online before we went back, and they invited her to play with them. So I just sat in the car and I cried, because I thought, okay, God, you are showing me right now that you care about our kids.
Yes.
And that if we do this, you're going to take care of them.
Yeah.
And then a few weeks before we were to go back and tell Family Life our decision, a lady from our church came up to me, and we didn't speak very often, but she said, Kristy, I remember when you and Steve were young, and because we met when we were 12 and started dating at 16, she said, I remember you coming to our church, and she said, then now you're married, you have this beautiful family. She said, when I was praying for you this week, I felt God tell me that he was going to use you to touch marriages and families. And she didn't know anything. And I said, wow, Sylvia.
That was cool.
In 2 weeks, we're getting ready to get on a plane to go and give our answer to a ministry who works with marriages and families. So then I knew, okay, God.
Just that affirmation.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I needed that. Yeah. Because I may have said no.
Yeah.
Had I not gotten that. Because as wives, we can do that. We can stop things. We have the power.
when you shared your story on Sunday, the part that really, like, literally, I mean, I had tears. I, did not know your family before that. I knew, some of your family members, but like, just tears were in my eyes because when the Lord takes care of our kids, especially as mamas, like there's just nothing sweeter, right? Like, I mean, we will sacrifice so much, of ourselves for our kids. And so to see the Lord love on our kids and to take care of them, there's just nothing like it. Like, it's pretty amazing. So I like it. That was the part that I was just like, oh, like those tears, like mama tears coming down my face.
It's a volleyball team.
It is a volleyball team, but it is the care of, the Lord for our children, and He cares, and it allows us to care, for others too. So part of that, you mentioned that you are going to be, so two parts. There's two questions, and we'll kind of talk about both of those. One is if somebody is listening today and maybe they are struggling in their marriage, tell me about how they can get help.
You can reach out to us, and we're gonna provide our contact information before we wrap this up. And Kristy and I are available. We're committing our lives to reaching marriages and families, and that means being available by phone, by email, by text. And sometimes all you need is a listening ear and some words of encouragement to feel like you can make it through the day and get to tomorrow and having a cheerleader. Everybody
you got
this? Cheerleader.
Get back on it.
and we just feel like the world, today it's so easy to get a divorce. Yes. The world's made it very easy. You can go just about to any downtown area and find many people that'll help you make that happen. And sometimes staying together is difficult. It's hard. But if you got cheerleaders, we want to be that for couples, not only here in Ripon, people that we know, but across the country as we meet more couples. So we're available.
And then Family Life's website also, FamilyLife.com, has lots of different resources. You can get on there, and if you have questions about anything, there's also a Family Life podcast.
Okay.
And there's just a variety of different subjects and encouragement through that as well. So.
And then, of course, the Weekend to Remember. That conference is open to couples all across the board. We've met couples there that have phenomenal marriages, and they just are very intentional about making them better. Yeah. And then we've met couples there that it was like their last hope. Yeah. And so it can meet, that Weekend to Remember Family Conference can meet the needs of a couple no matter where they're at. And they can leave there encouraged and with hope. Yeah.
And then the next question, so that is if somebody is, struggling and how they can, make an impact on their marriage. You guys are taking a step of faith, and you guys are going to serve this. This is kind of a service missionary role for you guys. If somebody is watching and maybe somebody wants to make a difference and support what you guys are doing, how can we support you as you guys support other marriages?
We have a giving link.
Okay.
That if you would like to go that, we can provide that for you. It's, give. You don't
even know. You don't even need to know the URL. We can literally add that into all of our places as we share it. So we will share the link. So people can support you guys financially, as well as through prayer as you guys walk through these next few weeks. So we will include all of the links and the information on our blog post, as well as on our YouTube link, as we share all of this good fun stuff. So maybe lastly, just share a couple of things that we can be actively praying for you guys in these next few weeks as you literally load your family up on a moving van and head on out.
Yeah, our children. Yeah. As a mama, it's our kids. Their names are Ashley, Caitlin, and Steven. They're 15, 13, and 11, and they just need prayer. They need prayer for good friends. They have just wonderful friendships here in Ripon, and they're very sad to leave them behind. So if we just pray for their friendships, good Christian friends to come into their lives, and just that they adjust well. And that we love them well through this transition.
And I think, along the lines of the kids, they have been here in Ripon their whole lives. They go to school now with kids that they went to school with in preschool. Yeah. And so I think that's top of the prayer list for us is our children. Some marriages that we're thinking about as we leave Ripon in the surrounding areas that we know are struggling. Kristy and I are our hearts break as marriages struggle, and it hurts us a bit to be leaving.
Yeah.
And in a way, I think we feel like we're kind of leaving some marriages that we know are struggling behind a little bit, but we know that's not the case. But it does hurt our heart. So pray for marriages that that we know that need a cheerleader, need a boost.
That is a good reminder, absolutely, to be praying. Lastly, and we'll kind of end with this, one of the things that you said that has made a really big difference in your marriage. You guys walked away from the Weekend to Remember. What was the one little change that you guys made that made a difference for you guys?
I think we would agree on that.
Yes, we walked away with that, knowing that we needed to set aside time to pray every day together.
Okay.
And even if it's just for a minute, a lot of times it was while I was drying my hair. And, Steve was reading a little devotional to me as we're just getting ready for the day. And I think just praying together, that connection to start the day off.
Yeah, Family Life puts out a resource called Moments with You. It's a couples devotional. And we have some extra ones of those at the house right now that we'd like to give away.
Okay.
So we got about 20 of them.
Okay.
And so I don't know how we could do that. But
we will get back to you on that. So when we release their story, we will give you all of the details on how to get those in hands. I've got a couple of ideas.
Okay,
so stay tuned for the details on that. You'll have to check out our Instagram for how we give those away. Okay, but I love that. The devotional that will allow couples to connect.
It's like a 60-second read.
Okay.
And it's just
very
easy stories about parenting, about marriage, about kids,
Okay.
about life. And Kristy and I just made a commitment to, when we left that conference, to do everything we could each day to spend some time in prayer. Sometimes that looks like literally like 30 seconds, as Kristy said. She's doing her hair and I'm like trying to get out the door to work. But we have felt that time, we know that even if it's 30 seconds, that connecting together, giving our day to the Lord, saying, Lord, this is your day. Use us as you see fit. Bless our kids, bless our marriages, bless our friends. God's done phenomenal things through that small segment of time that we've given to him. So
awesome. I appreciate that encouragement. So just as a reminder, guys, we are hanging out with Kristy and Steve Dillman, and they are sharing their story as they move across country just to further their involvement with family life. So we will share all of the links and resources that they've talked about. Hopefully you have been encouraged in your marriage and family some way. And hopefully you guys have a great day. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.